Recording in progress.
Thank you so much, my friends, for coming to Gaia's Zoom room on this 24th day of September 2024. And we have a little bit of an echo going on. I think that might be Marco, because he's the only one. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It has been rather remarkable the past couple of weeks here in Gaia's Zoom room. I want to acknowledge the transition that we are going through. I'm welcoming Stan Cockers into the room and acknowledging that 2 weeks ago we had we reviewed what happened at Earthstock. And a week ago, I endeavored to change the subject and offer some different opportunities for us to change what we did with our energy, looking at new possibilities. And it is this week, what I'd like to do with Gaia's Zoom room is go through those possibilities and look at different ways of addressing and figuring out what it is that we want to do. And it's my pleasure to welcome Mitzi Clementina. So glad to have you here. And she didn't. Hi, Mitzi. Nice to have you here. So, 2 weeks ago, we were collecting ourselves from Earthstock the week before. Last week, we looked at some possibilities, and this week, we're going to look again at some possibilities and talk about how we can best eat the elephant. If you know what I mean by that. If you don't, let me just run through it. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so we want to figure out if we're going to be eating the tail first or the front foot or the heart or what we're going to do. There's lots of possibilities. I want to thank all of you for being a part of this. Marco, you, my friend, are a captive audience. I want to acknowledge you for being a part of Gaia's Zoom room. For how long has it been? Is there any way of figuring out when we actually came in? I looked at some recordings that I made that I've got up on YouTube, and the oldest one I've got there is 3 years, but it must have been before that. So I'm just going to leave that question in your ballpark, and maybe you'll be able to do a home run on that one. As we are gathering and perhaps hopefully waiting for other people to join us, perhaps we can just take a moment with all of what I've said and take a breath. Because we've had a lot of stuff going on in our lives. And taking a breath is a very good thing to do. And I wonder if you might be able to, as you breathe in, allow that breath to graze across the embers of your heart fire, and have it glow brighter. And as you breathe out, let the glow reach out into your aura. So as you breathe in, your glow is brighter. And then as you breathe out, your breath takes your heart flow out into your room. And your in breath makes your heart fire grow brighter. And your out breath takes it out farther, perhaps to your neighborhood. And you breathe in and you glow brighter. And you breathe out into the world. And you breathe in the strength of the mother. And you breathe out the love in your heart. And you continue, comforted in the knowledge that we are breathing together the gifts of our mother. I'm so grateful to be here with you. Huh, don't you love it when Mom answers at just the right time? Jerry Anderson is joining us. And he is in southern states. And we will be talking about a project in Puerto Rico. That's one of the things on the agenda. Hello, Jerry. Good to see you. There you are. Okay, we can't hear you, and that's okay because we've just been doing a little bit of breathing to center ourselves in this moment. And Lisa's here. They all come wandering in, and that's a good thing. I'm so grateful to have you here. We have many things to talk about, and I'm going to be using the agenda that was devised by the AI based on the summary of our last meeting, created by AI. Yes. And I do want to thank each and every one of you for coming and being a part of this, because I am hardwired for co-creation, which basically means that I don't know what I want to do, because I really, it's just so much more fun when I get to play with others. And so I want to know what you guys want to do. And I kind of got something going on and I want to tell you about that. So I'm going to go over to my agenda. And there I have the agenda that says brief introductions and purpose of the meeting. I've already covered some of that. And I just want to put this over there so I am next to it. And I've acknowledged some of the developing global projects, Puerto Rico, Brazil, and Patty's here, and that's great. The OG's initiative and the message from the mother, they will come up as we go through this. If you guys want to do it in a different order, tell me now. Otherwise, I'm just going to go with what is in the agenda. Because if you want to, we can talk about Puerto Rico first or Brazil, but I'm not seeing any dissenting, so we're just going to go with the agenda as it stands. And feel free to activate your mic and be a part of the conversation if you like.
Did you want dissension?
No. Good question. Okie dokie. Item 2 on the agenda is crowdsourcing and funding initiatives. Most of you are not familiar so much as I know with the Jim's Nuggets project that I've been undergoing for the last year, since September of last year. When Jim Garrison moved to Washington to midwife the UAP disclosure bill through Congress, I decided it was time for me to start blogging his opening comments because, as a historian, theologian, and philosopher, he was, I feel he was designed for this time to help us see what's going on from a different perspective than what the mainstream media feeds us. And so I started taking his 5 to 15 minutes and sometimes the entire episode of Humanity Rising and putting it into text so that people could see it and read it rather than seeing, oh, it's an hour and a half video and just saying, no, I don't have time for that. So it's all in text, and it links in Stan Pockrass's archive of Humanity Rising, for which I thank you from my heart, Stan. Not only does he create and curate that database, he also created the after chat, which is the place where I moderate the comments, the group, the community that has gathered after Jim's Humanity Rising closes. And so in Jim's Nuggets, I present a link to Stan's day page that has the link to the YouTube recording of the Humanity Rising episode, and to the after chat, and to the chats from both of those. In the blog, I also give it a special title, and I put a featured image in there, and I add a little bit of me in there, often talking about the after chat and the presentation that we witnessed on Humanity Rising. Jim's Nuggets, the book, Volume 1, has September to December. All of those nuggets are in that. And so it makes for a very rich, very full experience. It's almost 300 pages. And the experience of going through one after another is diverse and interesting, and it's historically interesting because not only is it got the UAP in there, it also has the wars and the elections and this, and it's got that, and there is a lot of stuff in there. My process at this point has brought me to the point where it's time to publish it. Now, I have all of these things going on in my life. I don't have time to learn how to publish and to babysit it through the publishing process. And I have Volume 2 ready to be turned around into a book, from a blog that goes backwards into a book that goes forwards. And so I want a team to help me go through the publishing process, get this happening. Now, what I have done is that I have advised, or I've talked to different publishers, not very deeply, but what I have found is that Ubiquity University, who is the organization behind Jim's Humanity Rising, and I've talked to them about publishing, and they say for $5,000, they can arrange this to be done. I don't have $5,000. So I went through making a GoFundMe suggestion. So I have that. But there is a certain amount of babysitting a GoFundMe that is necessary. And Lisa, you're nodding. You know this process. You've published before. I can't do this as well as the other things that I want to do. And I'm wondering if there are people who would be able to help me with this, who are interested in bringing this resource to the world. And so, yes, Steve.
So much has changed in the world of digital publishing these days. And I have a friend who is really good at it, although right now he's a little angry,
Yeah.
as people get every now and then. Um, but I'm sure, I am planning to reach out to him because I just believe he had unreasonable expectations. And if that is the case, I am sure that we can help you publish it less expensively. And I'm just going to put this out for anybody who's working on anything. Get me a one sheet on whatever project you're doing. Strategic Campaigns is looking to be a pass-through nonprofit. I can't fund them all. I'm looking to raise money to fund, but it'll give me an idea about what kind of projects are out there and let people know as I'm looking for investors in what I'm doing to show them the type of projects we're looking at and considering funding, as opposed to red versus blue projects. I imagine most everybody here understands my nonpartisan position in the world.
You're in the right place for that, Steve. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I plan to make a difference in the world of politics, which most people don't want to go into. And I've discovered that by doing it from a nonpartisan point of view, I can poke fun at both parties and all their people and ask questions legitimately and just maybe get people thinking a little differently.
Yeah. Um, what I'd like to mention as well as so there's the Jim's Nuggets and the second volume of Jim's Nuggets, which is from January to July, which is substantially longer than the first volume. And Jerry, come on in.
Well, I was just thinking when you were saying this that are you familiar with Hayes House, the
Yes.
publishing company? They
Yes.
publish books of this nature already. And that if you go to their website, they have little mini courses in writing your book and publishing your book, everything right with them helping you do all of it.
I understand that, Jerry. And what's really true about that is that I could study and I could learn how to do it myself, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm a co-creator. There are people who know how to do these things. I want to put this in their hands so that they can shine. It's not all about me. My
Yeah,
task is to work together with other people
yeah.
and so that we can all shine together. Yes, Lisa.
The experience that I have with publishing is very expensive, but it's very expensive because the product that I made was, really high quality, full of color, lots of pictures, all these kinds of things. And I believe that yours also is, yes, thank you.
And the book.
I believe, and the book. And I believe that yours also is full color with lots of links. So the question is, do you want a printed form or do you
No,
want a digital form? Well,
digital.
to create just a digital form, you really just need to create a PDF correctly formatted. And that is not hard to do. It's just taking your Word document, ensuring that it is,
It's
and
in
you already
final
have all
form.
that,
Yeah,
right?
it's in final
Okay,
form.
that part in theory, in theory, shouldn't be so hard. Um, do you want to send me a copy of that, of your file?
Mhm.
Let me play with it and see what I can come up with, and that'll give you um, the correct format ready to be shared. And then what you then need is a way of selling it, a place to sell it.
Yeah.
And do you already have a title page created?
No.
Okay, so there's a few more steps still that need to happen, but
Yeah.
if you send me your file, at least I can make sure that I think that I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Um, and if it's not as easy as I thought it was, then then I can't help you because I don't have the details that we need.
Yeah. But at least you would tell me then what else needs to be done. And
Mhm.
I'm all for that. The one
Okay.
thing that Peter Mary has said about it is that the images need to be copyright checked. And as I was
Oh.
going through every day, if I used an image that belonged to somebody else, I sent emails. And some of them
Mhm.
went through websites, so I don't have copies of them. But each time I did check. So it should be easy, if you know what I mean.
Well, there's actually specific forms and legalese that you need to use for that.
Yeah, okay.
Um, it honestly might be faster just to use Canva and make a header for each one, honestly.
You mean use something different
Send
from
it to
what
me and
was?
I'll think about it.
Oh yeah, okay, absolutely.
Do
We'll.
you have a deadline that you're thinking of?
I have one that is kind of. I have the ASAP thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that
Um,
yeah.
okay. I'll keep
But
that in mind.
the point being that the any monies that come from it and the other works that I have that would be publishable, um, all of those funds are actually intended to go into support of the Our Heart Gardens concept, the idea,
Mhm.
the outreach that is necessary. Um,
Right.
and also things like um, the event that we have been talking about and Jerry Anderson's Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. These are how are we like Jerry, I love that you want to create this Puerto Rico event or place on your land down there. And Steve mentioned wanting to come down there and help set it up. And I love that idea. Um, but how would Steve get there? How would Michael Camp get there, for example? How would I get there? And Patty, want to get Patty there as well, and Carol Sue. How would we get the money in order to come? I imagine it is through the sale of Jim's Nuggets and the other pieces that I've been working on for 10 years, amassing these different works that all support uh, the philosophy that has built itself through me. Um, and I we should talk about that. You guys are listening a lot to me. What do you guys think about this idea? I really like that you are listening, but what do you think, Jerry?
Well, it has been real difficult raising funds. So I think like a sale of a book or something like that would be a way to do a fundraiser. And the first thing that came to me, being a marketing person this whole lifetime, is you need to have like this little like teaser 1 minute video that has images and let the AI go crazy with the script and juice it up and and make a teaser because over at your GoFundMe to have like any kind of traction, you're going to have some kind of a video that teases them into what the project's about, the goals and the purpose and so forth of it. That's the first things I felt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
To speak about all the people that want to come to the monastery in January, it's very interesting that the how, nobody knows the how, and you can stress all day long and it doesn't add an inch or take an inch away from the how. But already our dear sister, Red Clover, Kate, you know her?
yeah.
Yes, she and a person who was really integral part of setting this all up that never made it to Crestone or really the visibility that she deserved was Carol Sue in Belize. And she's planning to come to Puerto Rico also. And like you said, Michael Kemp is already, and I understand Steve is interested also in coming to the January setup. I've checked now. We are blessed. The whole project has so much grace. I mean, everything I talk about has a grace behind it that's incredible. Well, we have a very special hotel that's just one block, basically across the square from our embassy in Lares, Puerto Rico. And that's where we'll probably spend a fair amount of time because it's our own building. An embassy is where you put a satellite in another country when your country may represent your country. So since we don't have power and services that don't even have an address, get this, because we're an ecclesiastical country, they've decided that we have to have our own zip code.
Of course you do. Oh, that's
So
fun, Jerry.
there is the blessing of this, that just catty corner two times like a snake leg, there's a hotel called, we call it the Pink Hotel, because the whole hotel is this gorgeous color pink, and it's a very nice, facility, very like marble floors. It's from the ancient times back in the colonial days, and they've restored it, and it's conscious people who operate it, and they have their own like little ceremonial grounds along the river also. So I've checked with them, and they have 16 rooms available there, and I think Red Clover and Carol Sue are working out in some kind of deal between them with one of my monks down there in Puerto Rico, who has an extra house, a whole house. That's where I stay when I'm down there. And we have a very close relationship. He's coming here in November, so we can like finalize some of the things in that area. So,
Wonderful, Jerry. I just want to interrupt to let Steve come in. You need to activate your mic.
There was something you said very early on in what you were talking about, Jerry, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. You said that nobody knows the how. And I disagree with you. There are many people who know many pieces of the how. You may not know the how or what you feel you need to know. And if you want to get to the point of this, and Shannon knows I am a cut to the heart of the matter kind of guy.
yes.
Number one, you need to create an event. Nobody wants to go down there just to go down there. Why are they going down there? You got to have an event, whether it's Earthstock, no matter what it is. Create yes. something. It might be because of the fact that the United States hasn't seen fit to make sure that Puerto Rico was able to recover from the hurricanes and get electric power and things like that, that you guys shouldn't have to function like a third world country, which I can relate to because sometimes here in Northern California, I feel that way when it comes to internet and cell service. So, number one, you have to create an event. Number two, the 9 of us aren't going to do it. We need to create conversation here that is cannot miss conversation. Otherwise, this conversation won't grow. And you can try to do whatever it is you're trying to do with GoFundMe or anything else. But I've come to learn about SwarmWise. And if you don't know about SwarmWise, please investigate, because we can do more faster through SwarmWise techniques than the military can operate, than anybody. It's just the military actually discovered it.
Swarm what?
SwarmWise, WISA.
Swarm wise. Okay. Is that like collective intelligence?
So it's more like networking.
Yeah,
It's more like
Stan knows about
human.
that.
It's more like human networking. That
Okay.
people have ways of spreading information worth spreading if they're willing to, and if it's enticing enough. We now call that going not postal. When something becomes an overnight sensation, you know what I'm talking about.
Viral.
Viral. There you go. It was like my aversion to discussing COVID that kept me from being able to reach that word, I suppose. But that's what I believe we have to do with this conversation, is create can't miss conversation, because we're talking about things that are so important and so on topic and so doable, that why wouldn't you want to participate? Why wouldn't we want to change? I told you my whole thing is not taking the parties out of it. They're more problem than they are solution. Let's solve problems. And instead of getting people to commit all that money to red versus blue bullshit ideas, let's commit it to things that actually work.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do. It's starting county by county. What can I do here? What can we do in your county? What can you do in your county? And create models that way. And because all politics is local, and everything you can't build global movements right away. You've got to get areas and get people say, oh, we're doing that here. Oh, we're doing that here. And then it can go global once you've got people in local areas actually doing it. Otherwise,
I agree 100%. And Michael Camp has built an event for January for people who want to explore, because really, guys, this is like pure exploring. There's no roads. We'll have to chop with machete our trails back open, because they close as Patty knows in a jungle very, very rapidly. And so we'll have to go in and just kind of like see what we want to do for an event then has been proposed in December.
so Jerry, this is why you need an advance party before that.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about. Because when I was in the military, in mobile units on the front lines in Europe during the Cold War, we were the ones who would go in, assess an area, set it up, make sure that we could get our squadron in there, that we could set everything up. And we knew what we had to put and where and how it had to be. And we would work to make whatever it was going to be work. That's why I'm telling you, don't say that we don't. Do you know that a festival and a FEMA camp have exactly the same logistics? Where would you rather be?
Festival.
Okay. So that's what we're looking to do, is let people know, listen, if you think FEMA camps are the way to go, you keep doing what the government's telling you to do, and you can do that.
No,
But
no.
so this is where I'm headed. This is the direction I'm going. And
Yeah,
looking to be able to bring attention to projects out there that are trying to do these types of things.
yes, and
How I feel right now.
that's what the January visit there will be, is
So,
a exploratory team kind of
so
thing.
Jerry,
Yes.
it's already September, almost the end of September. It's a week from October. Have you got anything planned for your advance party to come down there? Have you made any arrangements to have people get there and do something so that your January event can actually happen? Or are you going to have a fire festival?
Well,
And
we don't have funds for to move people around and that kind of thing.
so you're going to have to figure out, how are we going to do this? You're going to have to partner with people, Jerry. You're going to have to look and say, who can help me with this? Take some notes if you have to, but this is your responsibility. And other people can fit in pieces that they can do. But if this is your event, you've got to be the leader. And it's on you to say how this is going to go. And then other people can off when you'll be able to say, I have this going on. In order to have this in January, I need to have this in early December.
Yeah.
Because you need a little bit of time to be able to go from where you have that you may see things you never thought of having to do, and you're going to need a little bit of time to do that, and you're going to end up having to raise funds too. Otherwise, what are you talking about doing here? I'm not
Well,
trying to be rude. Do you get that, Jerry? I'm a
yes,
realist.
yes, yes.
That's why I haven't got my company launched yet, because I didn't get the funds and I'm figuring out how to do it now. And next month, I'm going to be in front of 200 investors with a project, with a presentation about what I'm doing and why I can make a difference for people who are looking for impact investing opportunities, which is what you're talking about, whether you know it or not.
Oh
And
yeah.
okay, because if you don't know it, then you need to find out, who are you looking to reach? Who do you want as investors? Who are the people? Who's your target audience? Oh, you know something? This is more important than anything on your agenda, Shannon, because all those events probably have the same things to go through. I haven't heard anything from anybody about what these events are going to be doing or what's happening.
I don't disagree. On the other hand, there are things that I would like to add into the conversation. And perhaps it would be the right time to add those at this point. Because yes, I want to come back to this because we do have things that need to be done if we want to do the things we want to do. So
And
thank
you
you.
got to create a timeline
Yeah.
because you cannot wait until the very end and hope, because hope is not a strategy, that
No.
it's going to come together, and which is kind of what happened at Earthstop.
Well, this is one of the things that I want to be aware of is that we spent 9 months doing weekly calls and nothing actually got accomplished. We did not have a list of things that needed to be done. We didn't have assignments that needed to be done and updated. We just got to know each other, and not even that very well. And so I am in complete compliance or agreement with what you're saying, Steve. And so let me take this another step further, okay? There are two aspects that are impacting Puerto Rico and Brazil. One of them is Luciana Colibri was the moderator from South America who brought in wisdom keepers from the Kogi, etc., from that part of the world. And she has put together a course. She has been in training with the Kogi for the last 9 to 11 years or something. And she, because of the message from the mother about if we don't get with the program, Mother Earth is going to take matters into her own hands. And the fact that our leaders have not led us into doing what is necessary. Luciana has announced that she's going into creating different training courses. She announced a Spanish speaking training course called Extinguishing the Flames. Well, that's what it's called in English. And she got, I think, 400 people who want to be a part of that course in Spanish. On Saturday, she did an information meeting for the English speakers. She has 4. Yes, Steve.
What is it that you said that is impacting both Puerto Rico and South Brazil? You started on that, and I'm still waiting to hear.
Well, both of these have to do with South America. And in my mind, that wraps them both in the same cloth.
Okay, so then how do we get them to tie their events together? Maybe make them a quarter apart so that, that we're doing something here and then the next one here, and then we can follow something a quarter apart there. And so it's this is all who's going to put together something that's going to make sense and going to entice people to want to participate. What is the anticipated outcome? What are you looking to do?
I understand.
Why do people
I am
want to do it?
grateful for the way your brain works. I can go with 1 or 2 questions. I don't need a half a dozen. So the other thing is that Brazil, the event that we talked about last week, creating in Brazil. I have a pair of friends, Ton and Anne, who inspired me to walk up Mount Sinai, taking the stones of peace with me. And that promise of peace is one of my reasons that I do what I do. The promise was given to me, but it is not for me, it's for humanity, that going forward, there shall be peace. People need to hear about that. They now know about it. They have held the stones in their hands. They have announced that they want to have an event in Brazil in juxtaposition to COP30. When I heard they wanted to have an event in Brazil and we wanted to have an event in Brazil, I thought perhaps we could marry these things and have one event in Brazil that has the depth that Ton and Anne bring, and the prophecy of peace that I bring, and the people that have been brought together through Earthstock, and Jerry and his Puerto Rico, and all of these pieces. So, Steve, I have thrown the pieces on the table.
So my first question, I try to ask questions first. I really do. So Jerry's planning an event in January. When were they planning to have an event in Brazil? Have they even discussed it?
That's
Because
November.
January is really quick.
November. November.
You mean a month from now?
No, a year from now.
Huh?
13 months from now.
Ah, okay. So there's time. And Stanley, how, Jerry, where'd Jerry go? Oh, yeah. How committed are you to having this event in January? Because to me, I don't know that you're ready for. I have no idea what you've got in place for it, and you're talking about something October, November, December that less than 3 months away.
Well, one thing is, over the last 45 years, I have also been a tour guide to sacred sites.
Jerry.
So hold on now. So
you're avoiding my question.
No,
Because I'm asking now, have you got something that you're committed to in January? And is it already in place that you're going to do that? Or are you flexible enough that you can push it back a little bit so that it gives you time to tie in with what's going on in Brazil and maybe create a new marketing campaign for what you're doing around the tie-in with them. And understand, I'm working on the fly here because this is the first I've heard about it. So I'm just saying, based on information I'm getting right here in real time, this is how I look at it.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Jerry, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, in doing the tour work, you have to plan exactly this type of thing. Is like accommodations, meals, bathroom stops. Every little tiny detail. So I have quite a lot of experience in that. So, like I say, I was just checking to see what the hotel's rate was going to be at the Pink Hotel, and at this point, people would have to do this adventure on their own, kind of thing. I'm doing it because I have some airline miles that I can use to carry me on the flight, and we can have a small group. Um, one of my monks for gosh now 6 years in Puerto Rico. Um, he has a second house, and that's the house that um, Kate Red Clover and also
Carol.
Carol Sue Belize, yes. And so maybe we just take over that whole house, and because he's very good to me.
Thanks,
Yes,
Jerry.
Steve.
Steve, come on in.
So I still don't hear what it is you're doing and why. What kind of an event are you creating? I've heard about you talking about touring and going on a tour or something, but I'm
Well,
not hearing an event that's ready to tie in with Brazil.
no, this exploratory event to see where we're going to do what ceremonies, that so forth, when we do the December ceremony. So right now the main event is in December, and we'll have to see how many people we can actually take, and then how many can have to be by virtual.
Okay, Jerry, this is the first I've heard of a December ceremony.
Yes, we've been working on a December ceremony, Michael Kemp and I, and we have a nice little like 4-day agenda already put together, kind of thing. But we have to do the logistics on how to do it, kind of thing, in the January trip.
So I think, Jerry, what you're trying to do is not actually an event. It's more of a exploration and understanding and starting to prepare the land for building the monastery and those kinds of things. So it's a working party. It's not an event to attract a lot of people to. Is that
Right.
correct?
Correct. Correct.
Mhm.
Yes.
So it wouldn't necessarily need to coincide with anything um, other than people may be in the right area to hop on over and help with the work party.
Well, we chose that period of time. Sometime it could be anywhere in January, for quite a few reasons. One, it's outside of the hurricane season, which are the months of Jason, July through November. And then also, I'll be blunt with you all. Puerto Rico is like kind of like a toy government. Okay. And they're going to have their next election as to who's the governor coming here in November. And what happens in this government there, and probably many places, is the governor reappoints who is the Secretary of Agriculture, who is the Secretary of Department of Natural Resources, all these kinds of things. So that fluctuates everything. And so we were figuring by January, some of that will have calmed down. The holidays is over with, and their departments start to flow like they do. That's why when we regularly communicate with any department in Puerto Rico, we usually spend time and work with what's called the undersecretary. And this is the person who stays there no matter what administration is in charge, kind of thing. So we want to meet with some of those people, especially the Department of Natural Resources, while I'm there.
Yeah.
So does the work party need to happen um, in does the work party need to happen at that time because you are physically there specifically to meet with the government officials, or is it because um, it's a good time for other people to come in as
Well,
well?
it's been like Steve and so forth said, we really need to have an exploratory party where we go to check, see how, you know, we can rent vehicles and whatever kinds of open spaces we want to create, ceremony and that type of thing. Um, and to like I said, the trails overgrow very, very rapidly in the jungle. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So it's more about it's convenient because you already plan to be there, and so it's convenient to host other people to come at that time.
Yes, and also Kate, Red Clover, and Carol Sue all said that they wanted to come that month. Um, Poor Red Clover in South Dakota is going to love Puerto Rico in January. So
No
they
kidding.
started to all kind of agglomerate there as kind of like the exploratory party for the event.
And they understand how like really roughing it's going to be, and they're
Oh,
ready and willing and excited for that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that said, I also want to acknowledge that both of them are in advanced years and women, and I love them. But these things should be acknowledged. They need support. And so um, it's to be considered. Um, and I love the idea, and it might not be the right timing for it. Um, and I'm not saying no. I'm saying we need. I really love the idea of being flexible. Thank you, Steve. Um, however,
Maybe it's not the right team for this particular job.
maybe it's not the right team, or maybe we need more team members. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we are inspired to develop this. Jerry, your end goal by the end of 2025, can you give me an end goal?
Yes, um, there is the actual maintenance of the whole machinery, you might say, of the monastery right now is a little more or a little less than $1,000 a month. So we've got all of our expenses very low. One of the things we want to accomplish probably before that is I have one investor who we want to do the 501c tax credits so that people making donations can get a tax credit before then. And so working on an investor to do that. I don't know if that answered the
Hey,
question.
that's legal, that's paperwork, um, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I believe, because what we're talking about here is on the ground. We're talking about
Oh,
a purpose for the reconnoitering and work parties, and what is what do you want to create?
So that is the base, keep everything rolling. As far as the next phases, I think the next most important phase is actually make the entrance gate, heavy security entrance gate, wide enough to bring in heavy equipment and so forth. But right now, our property is being overridden by some dune buggy people.
Ooh, yeah, Steve, come on in.
Jerry, you're all over the map. There
Yes.
is no point or purpose here, except I'm seeing you need a lot of maintenance on what you're calling your monastery, that it needs a lot of work and maintenance and upkeep. I'm still not hearing a purpose for an event. It could be the purpose of that event and the proceeds will go to benefit the monastery. It's
Yeah.
entirely possible to
But
do that. But
I
without
don't
you,
think there's an
why?
event, Steve.
Well,
I don't think there's an event. Not yet.
I,
I
Uh,
think that we're using the wrong terminology.
well,
and I get this
what
because
we've done
what
is
I'm
basically skipped over what is the vision, the mission, and purpose of the place, and that we get the chance to leave a legacy for future generations of the first monastery that has combined indigenous and monastic teachings in one monastery.
so Jerry, did you see the tech what I put in the chat about your opportunity to, because you were talking about meeting with undersecretaries and all these people not have, do you realize that you could be creating an event to create coherence so that you can get all the people of the island to say what it is that they need so that you can go with a coherent voice to talk to those people, and you can, there are so many, and Jerry, you're just not looking at how do you create an event to do something that's going to accomplish. You're putting your goals first. No, you have to create the event. The event is what's going to attract people. People is what will bring assets and resources. Now, the beneficiary of all that coming in may be what you're able to do for the monastery. But right now, that's not reason enough to attract people for what it is you're trying to do, from what I'm hearing. And I'm not trying to beat you up here. I'm
Yeah.
simply trying to get you to look at this in a way that how do I create an event that people are really going to be called to attend, that accomplishes a number of things and brings coherence, because I now have the opportunity to demonstrate leadership on this island where it's been so lacking. I'm sorry, I'll shut up now.
No, that's very good. And we've been very careful in the strategies of the monastery so far as to keep more people that
Stop
are.
being so careful.
Gently, Steve.
No,
What,
Georgina, that's not temper. It's
what,
just,
I know
what I
it's
was
and
going to
it's like
say
I
is,
said to you, you're too soft. You have
Steve,
to
shut
attract
up.
people. I'm doing
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
so what
Jerry,
I was going to say,
you're
we've been very careful. The culture that was there before us is called the Barakin Nation. And so we've made sure that in all the steps so far, we have more people that are from the island than are mainland people. Many strategies to bring in the local people into what we're doing.
and I do feel, Jerry, that this is an opportunity to lift the people around you, around in that area, to support what you're doing so that they are part of it and they are uplifted by it. And bringing in people like Steve and his cohort to help the people create this beautiful place that is ready in the others. It's ready to be manifest in this reality. And how we do that, I think, is we need to be able to listen to each other and not beat each other up with words, and leave room for the softer people. And I appreciate the personalities that come here, and we are learning how to enhance each other and to help each other find our way together. And this is very fun. I like this. It's not often I get to say things like "shut up," and thank you. And Jerry, I love your vision, and I want to hear more about that. But Lisa's got her hand up, so come on in, Lisa.
Oh, I just wanted to say that my project manager is screaming in my head because Steve is right. It's very jumbled and there's lots of ideas and visions, but there's not a lot of like action steps or clear lines of sight, I guess. And so, Jerry, we should get together and talk about, like what are just talk about, for example, the legalities, that in itself is you really need to take it in a very organized, structured, thoughtful way. Otherwise, you just get stuck in the red tape. And that can happen in the background while you're also building and clearing land and doing these other things. They can happen in tandem, but we have to figure out, yeah, like Steve says, what is the end goal, which I think you have in your vision and your mission statements. And then uh, and then what is, like you said, you wanted the gate first. So what are the steps to get you to that gate? What is the cost? Like I have so many project management questions. So we should try to get together and I can just ask you a bunch of questions and we can put them in chronological order. And you can be like, okay, tick, 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 tick. It'll just
Yes.
be, I think go ahead.
I was just going to say, in no way do I think that it's my project. I'm just a steward of this space, and I'm as ready as the next person to have a six get it done kind of people come around and say, oh, that's my part of this picture, because it is really raw jungle. And I'll say something that gives Steve something to think about. Okay. Well, I'll be like a minister and say, in the Bible, there's a story that Israelites were given this promised land. Okay. But they sent some spies over to the promised land, and 10 said, oh my God, no way. There's giants over there. And 2 come back, Caleb and Joshua, and said, we can do it. But then God didn't let anybody who was alive except Jacob and Caleb to go into the promised land. So the whole generation had to pass away. Well, I feel a little bit like the same. Here's why it's the same. The promised land is the 10,000 acres. It's already been deeded to us, everything. The problem is there's giants on the promised land. There's giants in the promised land because this land had never been used, owned by anybody. So the drug gangs of Puerto Rico have big harvest facilities, acreage on our property. And so since during the whole COVID, the government says to us not to go on one part of our property because they are running a DEA federal sting operation, and they didn't want our pictures and stuff in the pictures. So this is a little bit why there has to be an exploratory trip in to see exactly what kind of situation we're dealing with.
Thank you, Jerry. Come on in, Steve.
So, Jerry, I've been thinking about this project of yours along the lines of the team management and leadership program. And I just realized, because of what you said just a minute ago, that's incorrect thinking for this application. What you need is what we did in the self-expression and leadership program, which is where you create a project, you take on the leadership of it, and then you give it away to others. So when you said, and as soon as you said what you said inland, and you can go back in the transcript and see what caused me to see this, this is your answer, Jerry. You are looking at this project as if it's all yours and it's a huge weight on your shoulders. Figure out what you really want to do. What's your job in this? What's your mission and purpose in this? And then build the project that goes past that so you can give it away. That you do your part and hand it over to somebody else or a group of people. And now it's not all your responsibility. You're building a team with the intent of giving it away. Problem
That's
solved.
exactly where I'm at right now, is I'm in the process of giving it away. As far as my purpose in the whole thing is been 2. One is to make sure that, and it sounds easy when I says it, but it's very difficult, to hold the principle of unity in every kind of angle cosmology, what we believe, what we don't believe, all these kind of things. And the other one is, and it's another thing that's kind of invisible, is that we have built all of this without becoming to any organization.
So Jerry, if I can offer you this, then you need to make it visible. I would
Yes.
suggest that over the next couple of days, you think about and write down what is your purpose and your vision, and make it so that you can expand it to have the project be bigger than you so that you can give it away. But it also creates a line of demarcation that you know you're responsible for this part of it. You need to get this going so that you can hand it over to somebody. And now you've got doable steps that you have a project that Lisa, with her project management skills, will say, oh, I can help you with that, as can Stanley probably, who also can. And so, Jerry, all you have to do is get your shit together and figure out what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jerry's got a lot of stuff already formulated, and I feel that this is a doable step for him, Steve. And
Just
thank you. And what that is for me also is that it rings bells for me, because I am also in that. That is the underlying reasons for my saying that uh, I'm hardwired for co-creation, is the fact that I don't want to own what I'm doing. I want to share what I'm doing. And I can only do what I do. And I don't want to do somebody else's job, because they are divinely designed to do the things that they should be doing. And I want them to shine and do amazing things, because that makes both of us and all of us. You know, this develops through co-creation.
so, Shannon, I need to share something with Jerry right now. It's really important.
Okay.
And Jerry, the reason I've been able to say this and point to you and know these answers is that over the last 3 months, I've been going through the same issues myself with strategic campaigns, where I had such a huge vision that I could not get it focused on how do I actually make it happen. And it's like Shannon says at the very beginning, how do you eat an elephant? You've got to get focused. What's the one bite you can take now? That will set, and you've got to do them in the proper sequence. You need to plan in advance, because if you start doing things in the wrong sequence, you'll find that you got to go all the way back to the beginning, because had you done this first, you might not have seen that this had to be done this way, and what you've created isn't going to work. So this is an event is a complex organism, and it's not like taking somebody on a tour where you're just going to see some places. When you're an event, you have to figure about all the logistics. Where are people staying? Where are they eating? Where are restroom facilities? Where, what's there for weather? I mean, there are so many things that you have to take into an account to host an actual event. And all I'm saying is that in what I heard, you're not there yet. And there's no bad and wrong in that. It's me telling you that you need to look at what you've got and what you're thinking and assess, are you going to be able to pull that off, or is this going to be something that's not set up for success? Because if it's not, then you need to look at it and maybe reschedule so that you can do this successfully, and see. You've got to figure out your why first. Why are you doing all of this? And that will answer most of your questions, Jerry. And then you'll be able to ask people for help, because you'll have a clue. You'll actually know what it is you're trying to do now, instead of just a whole bunch of hodgepodge things that you're not sure how to put together yet, but all of them are telling you that they're important and part of a plan and need to be addressed. But you don't have a vision and a plan to start making it orderly and sequential.
Well, I think he does have a vision and a plan. From what I've seen in his presentations, I think it's there. But the question is, the vision and the plan is so big, so vast. Understanding the smaller steps to get to that vision, I think is what needs to happen. Like I think what you're thinking, Steve, is these smaller events or these smaller milestones that need to happen to get to this larger vision. I think that's the part that's missing.
So I'm not sure, Lisa, because when I asked him earlier about why he was, and he talked about all the things that the mission needed, but he didn't talk about his why. He didn't talk about what his overall goal and vision was. And maybe he's got
Mm.
all that set. I'm simply saying I haven't heard a coherent vision of that yet tonight. And there's no
Mhm.
bad and wrong. He may have it, he may not. It, I haven't heard it yet. And what I'm suggesting is that until he's able to articulate that that
Mm.
he knows that no matter where he is, if he's got to say in 30 seconds what his vision is, when he's got that nailed, then he can start talking about what he wants to do and what it's going to take to get from this step to that. And I'll give you something else that I learned through the team management and leadership program. You start your timeline a week or a month after the event, where you're saying thank you and you're already wrapping up with the people who've supported you and saying thanks for all this and setting up for the next one, and then work your way
Yeah.
back from there so that you know what it took to make that event successful, because you know why you're hosting it, who you're bringing there, why you're bringing them, what's the intent for having them there, and what's the whole purpose of the event itself.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And those are
It's mostly
such
what Lisa
important
said.
questions.
Is it mostly what Lisa said to break it down to smaller steps?
But you can't do that until you have your why first. This is what I'm trying to convey to you, Jerry. That until you know what you're doing and the why of it, you can't even, why are those other steps don't matter yet. What's the why? And then
Oh,
you
yes.
figure out how do we work to get there. And
Thank,
that's where your smaller steps come in.
thanks, guys. I really appreciate this conversation, and I really appreciate that Mitzi put her hand up. Come and talk to us.
Hi guys. I know I'm new to the group. I'm just gonna do like a minute of who I am just for context. I was at Earthstock, but not at the live event. I was at the broadcast event. I did a moon activation for the full moon, based on some of the teachings of the Kayawaya. My tradition is Quechua and Aymara. My ancestry is from Bolivia. I carried that lineage. But I also work on a lot of on the ground programs. I work with Patrick McCullum on different projects in the Amazon. And next week, I'm going to be going to Utah for a project with the Lakota. So like I'm very active in a lot of communities, and this is one meeting that I've been really trying to make it to. And it sounds like you guys are having some really productive conversations. I understand that sometimes the tone can be a little terse, but I think that there is like the message is very strongly there. Just as a first person, just first time coming in, I just have some thoughts on, maybe how things can potentially move forward, and just from my firsthand experience and managing events, and having been a project manager in many years to a program manager. um, I think that it would be really great if for people who may want to come to these meetings, if there is like a summary of what the meeting was discussed. Like I wasn't sure if I was coming into a meeting where like there was like a different conversation happening, but I have a desire to participate in something that I think is at a certain point where I can jump in and offer my resources too. And I think that Earthstock generated a lot of people with that desire to, put some of their passion into action, right? But to what, and to what ability? And there are certain people who are going to be coming in early, other people coming in a little bit later based on what their skill set is, and it's really funny because I was watching the Humanity Rising thing today. I can't remember what video it was, but it was with Marilyn King, where she's talking about Olympian thinking and how critical, the different types of strategies that we can have. You can be like that passion is so important, vision is so important, and the action is so important to actually get things going. And the passion is definitely here. The vision is there, maybe in some cases needs some clarity, and then the action, comes right after that. But I would say, that like perhaps to before the meeting, before each of the meeting ends, to really put some clear tasks for people, like in Jerry's case, like a very clear task for the next time that you meet. Sounds like it is like, maybe hone in your vision, maybe come next week with like a short paragraph of what you believe your vision is for this project. And then that way, all of the minds here in this group can help hone in on that. Like, okay, now we have a statement for what the vision of this project is. And Shannon, I think you have the same idea, but then the next step would be to bring this out to the Earthstock community. Surely you have everyone's emails. Surely there can be like a newsletter that says, post Earthstock, here's what's going on. If you're interested in taking, what the seeds of the Earthstock have given you into some sort of action, here are some ideas that are coming up. If you feel like you might be interested in belonging to any of these committees, like throw your name forward, and then, this small meeting over the next few months can become like a little bit of bigger meetings where different people can come in with their expertise, with the right timing. And obviously that takes some coordination, but each of these projects sound, really, really interesting. I will say this, just having been like in event planning in the past, having an event in December is very aggressive. Not that it's impossible, but it is very aggressive, and you should have a vision by now. You should have like your guest list by now, which it sounds like you have your guest list, right? But you should like be working in the next week or two, working towards like next week is your vision, and the week after really should be like, okay, what is the point of December? Like there's going to be ceremonies in December, but it is to what? To bless the land, to bring wisdom keepers there, to bless the project so that in an indefinite future, this monastery is built, but it first begins with the blessing of the land. And if that's the case, that's spectacular, right? Because it sounds like you already have a list of people. But that idea alone can generate people who might be interested in hearing more about this project, and even just people sharing that in their networks can create enough buzz, because it sounds like you already have a GoFundMe page, right? So just like some thoughts, from being the first time coming into this group, this was something I've been wanting to attend for a while because I feel very inspired by action. But I only really put my name in the hat when I feel like things are sufficiently developed. But I really liked, some of the things that came out of Earthstock. I know that it was a little bit bumpy. And everyone here was people in behind the scenes, like, so behind the curtain, I know it was really messy. But I have to tell you, there was a lot of people who were not behind the curtain who had a really magical experience. And I think that that is the part that you really want to focus on in terms of, like what is a successful event. And I think a lot of people really left with that idea. So people who left with that idea are feeling inspired to take that passion into action. So maybe have like a short thing, and maybe kind of see who else is out there, who else is inspired to pop in and to maybe create shorter committees to help people do that. But I think that there is really like a nice formula of how to get to the action, like how to get to it, right? And it's very clear formula for each of the projects that you guys are sharing here. So that's all I have to say. I don't want to monopolize it, but I just my initial thoughts, and really just the appreciation for everything that Earthstock has brought us.
Mitzi, thank you so much. I so much appreciate your perspective and what you bring, and what you have made me aware of is that we did do a really good project, and it was messy, but that was behind the curtain. And that news for me is spectacular. I am I cannot tell you how thrilled I am about that. And the fact that we have Lisa with us, who does have those bits and pieces that you mentioned, and will be able to help us follow up on your advice. And that you're here now, and that you didn't have to see the last 2 weeks in getting to here, because it wasn't pretty either. But it has developed into this. And now that you're here, as Marco would say, everything's perfect. And thank you so much for being a part of what's going on, because I do feel that there is huge amounts of possibility waiting for us to grab it by the shoulders and say yes. And so thank you. I would invite others to have input at this point. Patty, apparently you have been called upon. Do you have some input you would like to offer?
Well, I'm jumping in also, like Mitzi mentioned. Wasn't so aware of this project or at all. And so I'm a beginner here. And the question I put in the chat was, I always think that more than why is what for, a question that we should always put in our screen. What for? What am I doing this for? Because the why pushes a lot for the mind. Why? But what for? What am I doing this for? That opens a broad screen for us to explore. And I'm talking like this because I'm a little bit beyond. I wake up at 6 in the morning. It's now almost midnight here where I am. So I'm kind of going to sleep. And I hope that I can participate when we talk about the Brazil project, which I don't know if there's going to be any time for that today, but I'll be around.
Well, I would suggest that we have talked about Puerto Rico quite enough at this point. I think Jerry has a pretty good idea. I think he and Lisa need to get together, and they know about that, and they can be talking about that. And I thank Steve for catalyzing that. I would invite you, Patty, to talk now about Brazil.
I'd like to hear about the project in the Amazon a little bit more, the idea that was brought here. But I've worked already in the COP 2015 in Paris. Now this COP that you guys were talking about participating in COP 30. I'm really interested in hearing what are the ideas about that, because Brazil at this moment and the world needs to really get, close to this climate thing that is happening, the tragedies that are happening in the Amazon, where so much land has already been devastated, and the what people are talking about, the scientists and all, is that it's almost no going back, because desert, there will affect the entire world.
Yeah.
And I also live in a place where we have it's called Caatinga, and it's also a bio place that is very important for the planet. And it's very dry right now, although, I'm focusing and bringing resources here to regenerate and do all that. But I see that Brazil right now, which I think is really the heart of the world, not in a pretentious way, but it has so much potential in so many senses, that it's crucial for this meeting next year of the COP 30 that is going to be held there. So I wanted to know more about who's involved in this project because I just dropped in now and I will say, wow, Brazil, the COP, which I have some experience with in Paris in 2015, where we organized a dialogue amongst Madonna Shiva, Marina Silva, a lot of people that we got together to talk about different topics. You know, we made the circle happen of dialogue there. So what I'd like to hear
I
about
was
what.
in I was in Paris for COP21, and it was in 2015.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, we were in Paris at the same time, my girl. Oh my.
Wow.
Yeah. And I went over from there over to Rotterdam for COM21, which was a conference of movements that was called in juxtaposition to COP21, because it was the people involved in the movements that wanted to have a say, and we didn't make any difference to what was going on, but we got together, and it created an opportunity for me to move to Rotterdam for a year into an intentional community where we learned a lot of stuff. And I got started as an activist. And this event that's coming up in Brazil has only just now, in the last month or so, come to Ton and Anne. And these people have been creating events for over 15 years, and they are moved by inspiration the same way I am. And when I heard their announcement of this intention, I thought back to last week when we talked about wouldn't it be nice to have an event in Brazil? And I'm going, oh, there, and oh, there. And I put the two together. And so I know very little more than you do, Patty. This is an opportunity to move into a mixing of communities, of the Spanish community as well as the English, the North and South hemispheres, and getting the Kogi involved and the people who were involved in Earthstock. I mean, I'm seeing the richness of the resources, the human resources that are available to us, and the possibilities, and it's very inspiring. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay,
Yes.
great. And who is Tom? Tom, is he here to talk about it?
Ton,
Inspiration? Yeah.
Ton, and Ton is in Portugal. He and Anne live there. They are from the Netherlands. But he has been doing men's work between Israelis and Palestinians and Arabs. And uh, Anne is, and both of them are authors. Anne has she's written a book that somebody calls her Bible, but it's basically talking about living from inspiration. And so I will definitely provide links to their work with the transcript of this meeting. And I want to invite Mitzi to come on in. You gave me a wave. Come on in.
Yeah, I did. So just out of curiosity, as I know that you can't speak for the entirety of the event, but for this event in Brazil, there's different types of meetings that are happening around the world that are inviting the same theme of what you said, bringing the hemisphere of the North and the South Is this meant to be like some kind of elders gathering where there's medicine involved, or perhaps it's a little more like Earthstock that had a variety of different talking points and different things that called on a different bunch of people? Um, your sense after speaking to Ton and Anne was this event, do you know what sort of event, maybe a little more specifically, they were aiming for or wanting to do?
I'm not quite sure what they have envisioned, but what I know about them is that they're very flexible and they know that things are wanting to happen, and what wants to happen is going to happen. What I know about them is that they have a strong community of people who listen to their hearts, and they do meditations um, and speak to the earth, and so they're it's a spiritual community, and I see that we have a lot of elders, and the combination of the elders. What that means to me is it goes back to the acronym that inspires me is MOM, the mixing of medicines. It's also the magic in ordinary moments. But I think in this case, it's the mixing of our medicines that we need to be looking at in order for humanity, the entirety of humanity, to start looking at what we're doing and how we're doing it and what we need to do in order to allow humanity to rise. Mitzi, I'm the moderator for the after chat of Humanity Rising's after chat. Yeah, so you're more than welcome to come and join us there.
Thank you. I'd love to. I'll have to figure out how to get there. I have heard of it. I haven't spent enough time to figure out how to get there, but I will. Or I'll reach out to you. I have a feeling you'll tell me.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, when you're in the Zoom for Humanity Rising, you hit the invitation that Stan puts in the chat. He puts the invitation in 2 or 3 times during the meeting. You hit the button, and then there's this red leave and join button that you can just put aside until you're ready to go. And then you come directly over into the after chat, and I say, hey, Mitzi, good to see you. So that's how that happens.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you there. So you're going to send more information on what they're putting together, and yeah.
From there I can see how I can collaborate. See what links I can do. Because it took a few months for us when we put together the one in the 2015. We had roundtable discussions that were very interesting about topics of how do we contribute. There was the guy who made, anyways, it's a beautiful group. So to know exactly what is it that is expected, or what is the why and what for and all those things, I need to know more about it. So I'm hoping that you can send this out.
What I can say is Ton and Anne have a meeting at 11 o'clock on Tuesday that is meditation and sharing, and it's all very sweet and lovely. It's not like this. But it is in that meeting that I was able to share that we're interested in co-creating. And so I'm hoping now that is their evening. 11 o'clock in the morning for us is their evening. So this meeting doesn't work for them. And yet we need to find time for us to get together and talk about all of those questions that need to be talked about. And Lisa's got her hand up. Come on in.
Oh, I think you've answered my question. It was, have you been able to actually set a meeting with them yet? And it sounds like not quite yet.
Well, it was the beginning dance. The dance has been invited. Um, and we will
Okay.
see how that unfolds. And I'm not quite sure what to say about it. I was hoping that this meeting would be, and I expect that this meeting will be what I provide to them in the meeting that, well, will probably be Saturday or Sunday. I'm imagining. And so there we go.
Okay. Well, you'll bring us all back into the loop next Tuesday. We'll hear all about your meeting, and then it'll be amazing.
So it does seem that it would be time at this point to kind of wrap up. At least I'm going to ask admin to enable meeting questions. So I'm sending that request to Marco. Steve, come on in.
Yeah, was there anything in the agenda that you wanted to cover before you close out?
What's really lovely, Steve, is that all of the other questions were in support of what we did.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing that we stepped over.
I absolutely appreciate that. Thank you so much. I what I'm going to ask the AI is to provide us kind of a meeting summary at this point and high points. So when Marco gives me the approval, I'm sending the request again.
While you're doing that, Jerry, I need to make sure that you know, Jerry, I need to make sure that you know that I wasn't looking to beat you up, that I may have been straightforward, direct, blunt. There are a number of adjectives that any one of you might have put in there, but none of it was meant to be rude or to beat you up. It was to just get you to say, "Hey, if I'm going to do this, I need to have this first."
I
Yeah,
appreciate that
for
very much. And I would
Go
say
ahead.
that another thing I didn't say is this is the first time we're taking people onto the property since the pandemic. So everything has kind of like been like mothballed. And so getting it up and getting good questions and stuff like that fired at me, excellent, because then I can take them now and flesh them out with before the next meeting. Yeah,
Thank you for understanding. It was all meant constructively.
sure,
And
sure.
before I go, I just want to say one little thing. I'm so happy to see Mitzi here because as a Bolivian that I am also, and here's another Bolivian, and we're working together with the condor and the eagle, you know, two different, and how that can come together in whatever project we bring is to, to have these two energies come together, and this is the time. It's now. Right, Mitzi? Thank you for showing up. I love the way you did it. Thank you. And thank you all.
And thank you so much, Patty. And we have gone through this whole meeting with Azita listening to us, and I want to leave room for her to have a moment to speak. Azita, if you would like to have a moment, turn on your camera and turn on your microphone and talk to us. And I see your keyboard works. That's excellent. If you have a moment and can speak to us, that would be lovely. You don't have to, but there is room for you in this meeting. And Marco, I can't get the AI to work. So
Every time you request to enable, I click enable. I don't know what else to do.
So what you can do is ask the AI the question for me. Please summarize and give action points.
Meeting notes
Meeting notes would be good.
and with action points.
Meeting notes with action points. I like that.
Another thing, Shannon, I was going to say is I was talking to Ozza in New York City this week,
Mhm.
and she has a dream of a project very similar to yours, but working with children with gardening and all that type of thing. And but she hadn't thought of adding the elders in like you had, so she was very interested in that part. So maybe you reach out to her, and
Excellent.
she was
Excellent.
very busy. She was very busy with the Summit for the Future this last weekend.
And Asa has to do with Michael Mankinder. And so that is another direction that I need to go in as well. Azita, there you are.
Yes, hello everyone. It was very inspiring to listen and also to learn. And I'm hoping to be a part of anything that is possible to save the rainforest, because that is my passion. And I had absolutely no idea what this meeting would be about. But I know that we are in a crisis and the time is now. So I'm happy I joined.
Well, it was wonderful to have you with us, Azita, and Mitzi. It was wonderful to have you with us. Thank you so much. This for me is very fulfilling. I have worked for 10 years on the Our Heart Gardens concept, which is a global network of hearts of communities where we learn together, we work together, growing good kids and good food, sometimes inside buildings, but it is the communities that are it's the heart of the one we are that is coming together. It's decentralized, it's quantumly connected. It is in another dimension what fuels that body, the body of the one we are. And we don't know what it looks like, but once we realize, once we awaken to the realization that we are one, and by working together with a common intention, instead of just falling forward, which is the first movement that is required when you start walking, that we will start walking and we won't have to keep flailing about. We will catch ourselves and find ourselves moving into the place, the new dimension, the different place where gods walk. And we will be one of them. That's what we're here for. And I love you. And I thank you so much for being a part of this dream. This is what we're here for. Steve, you were looking for an end goal? Well, you might not have been looking for an end goal. I was.
So all of us are looking for an end goal.
Yeah.
For however many projects we're running.
Yeah.
Some of us have one, some of us have many. But each one has to have a why. And to me, why is the what for? Why am I doing this? What for? Like Stanley sent out I think the Simon Sinek video, which I believe is start with why. And it's been my inspiration in terms of what I do for a number of years now since I heard it. I'm a big believer in it. And man, I've shifted a number of things about my life over the last few years. That is one of them. And I've come to realize how important it is and how words matter. And Jerry, that's the real reason I've been getting you to speak differently, so that when you do speak, you're actually putting it out there into the universe so it will happen. You can't be muddied about it, because if you are, that's what you'll get. But if you're clear, and I'm going to give you two additional words to add to anything you request of the universe. I learned this from Mike Dooley from his notes to the universe, and that's add or better. Be specific and say that or better. And when you speak that into the universe will hear you. So if you want to do an event, then do a damn event. Make it an incredible event and figure out that it's so incredible that you've got to tie it in with Brazil, because you know what? It's not about what kind of human beings we are. The minute we realize we're all earthlings, maybe we'll look at this stuff differently. And in case you don't know, my branding for strategic campaigns is we all, in all caps, that first all, we all do better when we all do better. Good planets are hard to find. I don't tell anybody what to do. If we live by those two rules, though, we'd live in a very different planet.
Well, this is what has to be done. And I'm so inspired by the people who have been gathered and have participated in this meeting. I feel strongly that we have the people who are supposed to be here. They're here. And thank you, Jerry, for the practical on the ground for this to manifest. It's very inspiring. And Stan, come on in.
I just want to put a plug in for my the wish book for that I'm wishing for. Um, uh, Buckminster Fuller wrote a wonderful book titled Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth, and I'm looking for something slightly more modern, and it's called the Operating Manual for Spaceship Mother Earth, written by women. So for the women here and for women everywhere, we need that input. We need that inspiration. Operating Manual for Spaceship Mother Earth, written by women, and for all of us to learn about.
Lisa, last meeting we had, there was a mention of a Bible for our heart gardens, a tome, something that people could look at and say, well, I'm in there, but I'm 90% or I'm 50% or I'm following it as best I can. And
Right.
it seems to me that what Stan just named there might actually be it.
Could
And there
be.
can be lots of
And I
versions
think,
of this. It doesn't have to be just
yes.
one.
Yeah, and I think that it could bring, if we brought in more indigenous view, bring in the grandmother's view,
Mhm.
a little bit more clearly to the vision of our heart garden, it could be.
Maybe what we do is the beginning of it starts with the vision of our heart gardens and what I spoke to just a few minutes ago, and allowing them to see their perspective on it and how their wisdom fits in it. And Steve, you've got an idea. Or
So I have a couple of things I want to add to this. First of all, Stanley, I have a book somewhere that was written based on Bucky's book, and it's like a workbook for how to put it into play. And so I thought it might be in my books right here, but it wasn't. And I'll see about making sure I have it for net or letting
But
you
just
know
send
about
me an email when you find it. I'll be really curious.
Yeah.
But my email,
Yeah.
stan@othernetworks.org.
Oh,
I'll put that
yeah.
in the chat.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to say is that when it, you mentioned wanting it written by women. And I have been Shannon, we haven't been debating, arguing. We've been debating because I believe that you need some masculine energy in a lot of the women's circles that you are running because not all masculine energy is toxic. There's a big difference between toxic masculine energy and masculine energy. And so, in some ways, I'm tired of hearing about people wanting to do women for this and that. We're all humans. We should all be able to sit down and contribute energies to it so that it's about us as a species, that we all contribute. If you really want to co-create, please do not make this a sexist issue.
I got to say yes to that, Steve. Thank you so much. I appreciate your perspective. Stan, how does that sit with you?
Well, I still believe that women are the savior of the planet. So we'll
I,
have
I
to
do too.
agree
I
that
think we need to.
Stan,
yes.
they're going to need us to do the
Of course, I
maintenance
didn't say we
stuff
weren't
as well.
participating. I
And
didn't say
all
we were
I'm
no,
saying is,
but we
all I'm
haven't
saying is let's write
taken
it together.
enough inspiration from women yet.
I agree with that.
Okay, let's go for
All
that.
I'm saying is don't make it separate. Make sure, that the whole thing is what you really, if you really want to be equal, then be equal. Don't isolate yourselves and make yourselves separate. Consider yourselves human beings and part of the species man, because that's what we are. I didn't make that up. And so be that. And then we don't have to separate men and women, that we're men and women, not men and women.
For humanity.
Okay.
And
Ann Baring did a wonderful lecture on this subject. How did women get sent to the back of the synagogue? That's not exactly the title of her piece, but it's day 82 of Humanity Rising, and I have a special a separated link for it. Ann Baring talks about the uh, goddess and the the special feminist. What is the word for it?
Wait, 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 you have to realize that the the comedian in me says that word is bitch.
Okay. Yeah, there's another a video that you might enjoy, and I can't mention it here because I've already been told that it's persona non grata. But
that one, yeah. Well, you can put it in the chat, Stan.
okay.
So yeah, my whole point is that we have to stop dividing ourselves.
Well,
And I'm begging you, Shannon, that's part of the reason that I've agreed to come on and be with you on this show, is to just add a little bit of a different energy and maybe create some different conversations and maybe start getting some things done that we can actually create projects around, get them done and funded and done. And
I love that, Steve. And I was very pleased that you showed interest and that you followed up that interest by showing up. And thank you. Thank you so much. And Lisa, you had your hand up there. You going to come in? What you got to say?
No, I'm not going to stir the pot. There's only 5 minutes left. I'll stir the pot next week.
Well, I do feel, Lisa, that we did stir a few pots today. And
we did.
I'm
and I love that.
I'm going to say that you might put it in as dropping a seed for next week's conversation so that we all get
100%.
Okay, so please don't hold it from us, because now we're all going to wonder and say all kinds of things. Well, why didn't she just tell us? And now you can do that, and we'll be able to think about, oh, maybe she shouldn't have.
You've done your whole.
I have appreciated the masculine energy that has come in today. And it is true. Action is masculine. Building is masculine. These kinds of things. 100%. We need to bring that energy in. I get it. And I don't think enough of the women in the world have healed yet from the imbalance. And as Stanley pointed out, I don't think the goddess has been brought back to an equal level to the god yet. And that doesn't mean that men can't help us do that.
Mm-hmm.
I
By
just
being
think that there are
receptive.
correct. I just think that there are too many people, too many women who are not yet healed enough
Mm-hmm.
to bring men back in a balanced way. And that's unfortunate, and it's work that we have to do.
Yeah. Lisa, did I send you a link to a particular video that talks about women's
No.
achievement in the world and a certain kind of that Shannon thought was awful, but yeah.
Well, now I have to watch it. Yeah, please do send it to me.
Okay.
Steve.
It talks about why there were 9 million women destroyed by burning at the stake at the early part of the 17th or 18th century, and what we lost because of that. Yeah.
So, I consider myself a Jewish man. I'm so Jewish, I was bar mitzvahed on April Fool's Day.
Okay.
So I really don't go to temple, but I carry God in my heart.
Mm.
And I loved your reaction there, Marco. Thank you. Jewish men, I was taught look up to their women and really value their women. It's like, I'm a single gentleman, and at 70 years old, dating at 70 years old can be a challenge. And I
Tell
tell
me about it.
women that I don't need a princess. I have 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not willing to be a queen or a partner and a lover, and then what do I need you for? It's like, I have a couple princesses in my daughters. And,
Well, maybe I'll add a little different perspective. 50 years ago, when I would go to a spiritual event, Madame Blavatsky, Alice Bailey, something like that, I would be the only person in the room that was less than 60, and I was the only male in the whole room. It's changed that far.
Wow. Well, we've got a ways to go, and it's wonderful that we're actually on the road. A month ago, we were not. At least it sure didn't feel like it. Today, I feel like it. And I thank you, gentlemen, for being here and a part of this. I've been waiting for you. And here is Aza. Aza, you're late. Yeah, I love that picture of her. Aza, you're late.
So I have to tell you that I texted Aza that I had heard her name mentioned. I did not say where.
Uh-huh.
And it made me think about her because I haven't really spoken to her since I left Colorado. So it's my fault that she's here.
No, the credit goes to you, but Aza is here now.
Oh no. It's a singing internet.
Come on, I was on another call. And I was planning to come on, Steve.
And you expect me to believe that too, don't you?
Who else is left? You want? Okay, Steve.
Oh, so Aza,
Me and Steve, we like.
Sorry, your internet is breaking up, so I'm going to talk. And I want to let you know that it's been a really good meeting, and that I'm looking forward to sending the results to you and to Michael Wisnu. and we're on the way. That we've got our feet firmly on the path. We don't quite know how we're getting there, but we've got a vision of the future, and so progress has been made.
Awesome. Is my internet still breaking up now?
It's better now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I gotta
heard.
go.
I'm very sorry I couldn't come on earlier. I had another call that was very important for me also. And I heard from Jerry last week. You were talking about Puerto Rico and going to Puerto Rico. And Michael Kemp we're talking about having an event there in 2025. So I have been heard a little bit about what's going on.
Well, there's been more talk about those things, and we'll see what happens. And it will depend on what we decide to do together. I'm really looking forward to it. And it is through these meetings that we find our way, and we're working on it together. And I'm deeply grateful.
Awesome.
Thank you for allowing me to contribute. I gotta go.
Yeah, we all got to go. It's time. And thank you all. Bye,
We
Anna.
don't all have to go.
Well,
Anybody
you
that wants
get
to can stay.
yeah, well, that's there. But I have to leave so that the meeting starts. Um, yeah. So I will go. I love you. Bye.
Love you guys. Love you, Shannon. I'll
Yeah.
be here next week on time.
Excellent.
Bye.
Bye.